welcome to the Business Edge with Central Willamette. My name is Michelle, and today we are diving into the big question that I think many small business owners wrestle with, which is when is the right time to hire? And joining us today is someone who knows all about the hiring process inside and out, our very own Veronica Bruner, Central Willamette's Senior Human Resources Manager. Veronica is joined by her team members, Christy Harris and Ginger Remo. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. Why don't we jump right in? What are some clear signs that a business owner is ready to hire their first or maybe add on to their existing team?
I think the most important thing is if you're juggling too much, you don't have time for your family, you don't have time for anything outside of what you do in your business, it's really time to be looking for possibly hiring outside of yourself. The red flag is it's not sustainable. You're going to burn out, so you might close your business down. So make sure that you're really looking at making sure that what you're doing throughout the day is something that can be sustainable.
I think also, too, if the owner's performing roles that they're not skilled in, such as bookkeeping, payroll, it also puts added stress in because the work isn't necessarily being done the way it should be.
Well, and on that note, also, you're just stretched too thin with the daily tasks falling behind. It's definitely a sign that at that point you need more support.
Also, when you reach that revenue plateau, you don't have the capacity to bring on new business. Your customer service might be going down. So once you reach that plateau, you want to make sure that either you're sustaining and not taking on any more business. You might have to let go of some business if you don't hire on an employee. But that plateau really is a red flag of, I need to make some changes.
And so what kind of mistakes do you think small business owners can fall into, or traps they can fall into if they wait too long to hire?
Yeah, burnout is real, and it's imminent. You might be passionate about what your business is and what you're doing, but running on zero is not heroic, and it can be harmful for your business.
And waiting too long to hire help also can lead to panic hiring, so that rush can also increase the chances of bringing in the wrong person for your team.
And then at that point, the poor customer service due to the attention of being spread too thin, it's really going to affect your bottom line and your performance.
Are there any indicators that now is the best time to hire versus maybe they just need a different process or better software or time management skills? How do you know that there isn't a better way instead of just hiring?
I think the first thing that you need to start with is a workflow audit. Sometimes the issue is inefficiency and not understaffing. So you need to make sure that the workflow and the technology is where it needs to be before you make that decision to hire.
I think also, too, coming out of that audit could be ways to help automate the tasks or help with your project management skills. And that could free up some time as well.
If you're consistently running out of hours, even after you improve those efficiencies in the workflow, at that point you definitely are needing to hire. But you also need to pay attention to the trends, especially with seasons. The workload might be less consistent, and so it's good to pay attention to that also.
I think it's also important to know that if critical work isn't getting done at all, it's a capacity issue, and that's the time to hire. If work's being done inefficiently, it's probably a process issue.
And another thing you can do, too, is if you already have a team, ask your team, get them involved. They can give great insight into whether it's a process gap or a people gap, too. So involve your team in your decisions.
Nice. And I know that there is a big trend on hiring freelancers or independent contractors. Can you talk about the difference between either hiring an employee versus one of those avenues?
Right. So I'll talk about hiring employees. So employees are part of your core team. They typically work set hours, and you manage their tasks. You get to tell them what is the most important things for them to focus on, and you're responsible for their tax benefits, workers' comp, compliance, those type of things.
Contractors, they operate independently, so you can't hold them to a set schedule. You can hold them to deadlines, though, for projects. So that's kind of a main differentiator. You want to make sure that you are classifying correctly. So misclassification can lead to fines. Oregon's Bully site does have a great independent contractor test that can help guide you in differentiating between an employee and a contractor.
And definitely, if you see that it's something that's just going to be temporary or specialized or just outside the scope of who you would need to be there on a regular basis, the contractor just might make more sense.
What would you say to business owners who feel like they can't afford the help even when they need it?
I think the key question is to ask yourself, what's the cost of not hiring at this point? Missed opportunities, slower growth, burnout, it adds up very fast.
And what about considering the opportunity cost? Like what would you do with more time and more mental space too?
Yeah, you definitely have to think of it as an investment, not just an expense.
And I encourage you to start small, possibly a part-time position, a contractor, or maybe a phased role.
Yeah, build your hiring budget into your financial plan early. So you might not be planning on hiring anybody right away, but building that budget can help you plan for the future.
Great. Aside from just skills and experience, what else makes a good employer? What else should businesses be looking for?
First and foremost, cultural alignment is huge. In a small business, you can teach the technical stuff, but values and attitude and work ethic, that comes with the person. So make sure that there's a cultural alignment when you do the hiring.
And to go off of your financial planning, you should also be planning your values as well. So you want to look for people who believe in your values and your mission. That emotional buy-in is huge. It can make a big difference in motivation and collaboration and the productivity of your business.
Well, definitely to make that work too, you need somebody that has some soft skills, especially in communication, being adaptable. Those are game changers, especially if your team is really small.
Also, on top of that, in small businesses, you want to make sure that you're hiring someone with a growth mindset and someone that understands that they're going to be wearing multiple hats and not just doing one specific function.
You talked about cultural fit and making sure that this person aligns with your values. So how important is culture in the hiring process?
It's incredibly important. In a small team, every person has a massive impact on morale, energy, and productivity.
Yeah, and to make sure that it is a cultural fit, you need to actually define what your culture, your company culture is going to be before you're hiring for it. That way you can make sure that it's all aligned with the values of the person you're adding to your team.
And in the end, you're spending a lot of time together, sometimes more than you spend with your family. You're often in close quarters. If the fit is not right, it's definitely going to show, and it will slow things down.
And also know that one not so great hire in a large company isn't as impactful as if it's in a small company. So you want to make sure that that hire fits with your culture and your values.
And if they haven't started already, how can small business owners build a positive company culture that someone would want to be a part of?
It's really important to be clear from the very beginning what your values are, what you stand for, how you want to treat people, customers and team members alike.
And make sure that you're starting off right with who you're adding to your team. So put some thought into an onboarding process. It can really go a long way toward making new hires feel included and aligned with your business goals and values.
Definitely, and that needs to start from even the first phone call that you make to them, all the way through when they are in their training. to keep the communication open, regular check-ins, the feedback loops. It really helps keep trust and clarity throughout that.
And you've probably heard this from an HR professional before, but document your vision and your culture. Communicate what those values are clearly and live it. You need to make sure to live what you're documenting and what you're saying.
And hire intentionally. I think that's the most important thing. Don't rush to fill a seat. It can feel really important to get somebody in quick, but that's not always the best option. You want to make sure that the right person is worth waiting for.
It might not feel like that at the time, but in the end, it definitely is.
Okay, this isn't a question that I gave to you, but what is the cost of hiring the wrong person?
Oh, wow. That's a hard one.
It could definitely make or break you, especially in a small business, such as if you're hiring someone that doesn't fit your values or culture and you have maybe a team of 3, you could possibly lose those 3 people. And a lot of that work would fall on your shoulders.
What about training? The cost of training.
Oh, absolutely. The cost of training, think of the time that you spend just training that new team member on your processes. That's your time, so in pay, and their time and pay. And if you hired someone that wasn't the right fit, that could be a month to 2 months of pay of yours and that person that come off of your bottom line. So it's really important to make sure that you hire the right person.
And not have to start over with the whole process, which takes time also.
And for small businesses in the state of Oregon, we kind of skipped this piece of it a little bit. There are so many benefits for small businesses in the state of Oregon that give you tax breaks and credit. So I encourage you to reach out. WorkSource Oregon offers on-the-job training reimbursements, Oregon Investment Advantage, Work Opportunity Tax Credit, the Preferred Worker Program. There's lots of benefits out there. So make sure to look at the BULLY website and the State of Oregon website because there are tax breaks and benefits for small businesses.
Yeah, definitely don't make assumptions about cost without looking into those and talking to an accountant as well.
Reach out to a professional.
Use your resources.
Yeah, well, that's all great advice. And I really, really want to thank you guys for taking the time out to come spend with me and talk about hiring. It is a very big topic for small business, and I'm sure it is something that stresses a lot of small business owners out. So I really appreciate you coming on our podcast and talking to us all about that.
And thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening. If you want to learn more about the business services that we offer to support our small business owners, you can visit us at Central Willamette, our website at centralwcu.org. But thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
The information provided here is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any financial decisions.